I still have my hospital gown. Um, and I have it on because it connects me to my story. Or is that out
Interesting.
of or is that out of the park? I also have the glasses they made me when I was seeing double. The nurse put tape on this side and then I could see totally fine. This is before
Really?
I went into what I did. And I was literally like, cool, I can go home now.
Wow. So, but you could see through that one. It still helped?
Yeah, but it makes like one eye go like you can't see out of it. So your brain is like only gonna look at one eyeball.
I've never heard of that.
Well, you've never had double vision in a hospital then.
Yeah, obviously not. And that is a nice hospital gown. I don't know. Do they just give that to coma patients?
I refused to like go home without it because I was like, I gotta take something with me. I took the socks too, but it has a cute tie in the front. Like I'm actually having a comiversary dinner for all my friends who helped, and they don't know yet. But like I, this is a tie, like it's my mini dress. Like I'm wearing it that night because like I deal with a lot of things with humor, especially really dark things. This is how I get through the day.
That's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
Perfect, and it brings up my eyes.
I mean, it really does. Glowing.
Cool.
Okay, so how we're going to do this, if it works for you, is like a channeled story, basically telling your story as it is from your perception today, as
Yep.
it feels good to tell that story. So, I mean, I don't know, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the coma itself or what led you up to it? What feels like a channeled way of starting?
I feel like if I was hearing this story, is this record? Like, will this be part of it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I feel like when I hear a story, if I'm putting myself in the listener's ears, it's like I like things to go linear and I'm very sporadic and stuff. So if I can like ask the universe to like make it make sense, then
Yeah.
we can start with like a little bit before the coma because it didn't just I didn't just wake up one day and was like, it was
Yeah.
there was stuff leading up to it. So
You didn't just not wake up one day, you mean?
correct. I absolutely woke up, but I didn't just wake up one day and slip. Well, I did actually. I did later that day slip into a coma, but I lie now. I lost a
Yeah.
filtered. This is going to be swimmingly good.
Yeah, it's going to flow effortlessly. I accept
Flow.
lies and all in all their glory.
And that
So,
makes
I
so much
mean,
sense.
telling the story before you went in. I remember you had a couple businesses. So you basically worked yourself raw.
Yeah, the physical aspect of landing in a coma was I was working hard. I would say COVID is a culprit because I started with my partner. We started a movie drive-in theater, like outdoor theater in 2020, and we didn't rest during COVID. Like a lot of people were bored out of their minds. We went full hog. It was busy. And then that led to like my brain is like, oh, well, it closes in the winter. What do we do? Well, now we are skip the dishes and we deliver popcorn and candy. And then, oh my God, everybody is using this. So what do we do? Well, some restrictions are up. So we open a small candy store. And by we, I meant me. My husband's an accountant, so he's busy doing his thing. So I never stopped ever once. And then anyone who had a business during COVID or tried to like keep one running, like it was more than normal operations. So I think I was just like full speed ahead. And then I actually expanded my store to a 4,000 square foot emporium because I wanted to add a whole bunch of other things. So then all of a sudden, because no one could get through to me that like that was excessive, I found myself burning the candle at like more than both ends. Like all like I was on fire. And it wasn't helping my business or my family or anyone. But I was like tunnel vision, and until I'm on Forbes, as if like I couldn't just be happy with a successful business in my town. I was like, I've always been like, we'll build empire at all costs.
Yeah.
And then my body was like, we won't actually unless you listen to us. So that's the nutshell of where I was before. I have kids. I mean, like they're teenagers, but still they need a mother. Um, and also I thought let's add a side hustle. So I have still kept it because I love thrifting. So I flip thrift and vintage stuff. So it all started like I was at a vendor show outside and I ended up being ambulanced out because I had heat exhaustion because I ignored all the signs that we had a heat wave that day and I didn't do the well the day before. And I already had vertigo for probably 3 months in July, totally ignoring it because that's what you do. And then I went to the hospital that day for heat exhaustion and I waited 9 hours because I'm sure all of Canada's healthcare is atrocious, but Ontario seems to be gross. So 9 hours I waited to see a doctor after being ambulanced in. And they're like, I said, like, doesn't an ambulance get you in quicker? And they're like, we've had 9 ambulances today. So it's like, okay, they're like, you're walking and talking, so you're cool.
Yeah.
So I waited and the doctor sort of like helped my vertigo as well. He did this adjustment. If you've ever had it, they do this cool back forth thing. And I think it helped a bit. And then probably a week later, end of July, I get bronchitis or like, who knows, I never went to the doctor, but Google said it was like non-medicinal, if that's a thing, bronchitis. So I didn't need antibiotics because I wasn't going to go back to the hospital or doctor or anywhere. So I just dealt with it. And I took a whole week off to spend time with my friends out of town. They were really worried about my cough. And I was like, dudes, whatever. I'm fine. Totally ignore me. And then about a week after that trip is when the vertigo came back, full force migraine, throwing up. So it's August 15th. I am not well. And that was the day that I allowed Adam to call the nurse practitioner and not 911. So he's like, oh my God, woman. So I get myself in proper care at some point that day. And then it all went like out the window for me that day. So, and like that's the rest of like what happened during my coma is people have filled in the blanks for me. So that story is truly like just legend from what I've been told. But that's my experience up until the 15th of August last year.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about like what you were consciously aware of or remembered when you woke up, or did you remember feeling any sort of way during?
I didn't have, I wasn't that person who was put in a coma because if you're medically induced, from what I've read and heard, and I could be wrong, but I noticed a trend in like they somehow know they're in a coma, which their dreams revolve around that. And it's very scary and it's feeling very trapped. I literally had no idea in the coma that I was in a coma. I was just living a different life of different of dreams, I'm guessing. When I woke up, I certainly don't remember, like it was never a movie scene of like, oh my God, she's alert. And do you know where you are? Because I think it was about 3 days later that I consciously remember my friends being there and me looking at my husband going, what's everyone doing in our cottage? And like, we don't have a cottage. So the story goes like, I don't know, it was in about 9 or 10 days. Adam's home at this point at night because we have dogs and he has my business and his business and he's not allowed to stay overnight. It's ICU. And I was like, I got mad at him for that later, but I was told there was nothing he could do because I was like, why is this not like a rom-com? Why were you not in bed with me?
Yeah.
Like, what if I died? So gets a call at 11:30 at night and he's like, it's the hospital. And he said his stomach sank. He was like, it's been 10 days. Like they've had meetings about like they're not in our hands anymore. We don't know what's going to happen to her. Like terrible. So the first thing he says, he goes, hello. And they're like, it's okay. Everything's good. And he's like, what happened? Well, I had a team of nurses and I still don't know who she was, but one of the female nurses had tried, like they tried a lot. I've gone through all my records because of course I got access to them. And this one night they just tried this certain steroid and I finally, like they were poking me and scraping me and scratching me and yelling at me. And Adam's like, it was really hard to watch, but you were just like not there. And he's like, so they did the steroid and I kind of woke up a bit and they said like, she's awake. So, come tomorrow. Like I was like, you should have gone that night, but whatever,
Yeah.
it's a movie. So, but I wouldn't have known anyway. So he said when he saw me first, I just didn't really register, but I had like tubes everywhere. So I don't think I could actually talk. So when I woke up, I didn't know I had been in a coma or in any danger till about 4 days after I woke up. And my brother, who's like my younger brother, I didn't know why he was there. He lives in British Columbia, or he did. And I'm like, what's my brother doing here? Like this can't be good. So he's like, he was coming on vacation with his kids, and then the day like before he's coming, my mom's like, this is your sister. And so he cancels his kids, he comes down to take care of everything. And I look at him and I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, what's going on? And he's like, we thought we were gonna lose you. And I was like, okay, well, why? And he's just like, how do you not know? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Could you tell me? And he's like, so he gets Adam. And I remember an Adam telling me, like, okay, babe, like, what do you remember? And I'm like, I remember we called the ambulance because I had migraine. He's like, yeah, like, and then what? Like, I was transferred from hospital to a better hospital, remember nothing. And then he's like filling me in, and I'm just sitting there and it's still not registering. Like, it hasn't still registered really the gravity of it until maybe a month or two ago, which seems weird. But I think I was just in protective mode until then. So the short answer to that question is I had very little thoughts about the coma. And when I woke up, I just wanted everyone to agree that the dreams I had were absolutely real,
Yeah,
because I had just
obviously.
lived this whole other life, sporadically different places in these dreams. And I'm like I bought a movie theater, so like I'm gonna be okay. And my mom and dad are like, yeah, like the drive-in, you sold that. And I'm like, oh no, in this other town, I bought this with Chris and Tiffany. And my mom and dad are like, fuck, she might have. Like, they were like, when? And I said, like, literally, they've been running it. I had them scheduled. I had an opening night in my dreams. Um, and my dad, who's no longer with us, but at the time he doesn't say much. He's like, I don't think you should be running any businesses right now. My mom's on Google looking for the listing. She goes, there isn't one listed in that town. I said, because I bought it. And so Adam's coming in the room and I'm like, why didn't you tell mom and dad about the theater in Tilsonburg? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, I'm pissed. So that was the start of like, I'm pissed at everyone. And they're like, why are you mad at us? And I'm like, because like all these things happen, and why aren't you guys on board? Like, why aren't you living the same life I just was in,
Yeah.
but not
So
connecting dots whatsoever?
it being this is like a channeled series. We're just gonna go with what comes to your mind, okay? Don't overthink it. But
Okay.
when first, when was your last memory? It was going to into the ambulance, or did you have any memory leading up between then and falling into the coma?
I remember going to our local hospital. They had given me stuff to help me from throwing up. So it was just a constant, like, when you're like puking and like you don't notice stuff around you. So it
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of that. Apparently, I had a CT scan, don't remember that. And I just really remember my store in real life needed ice cream. This ice cream order picked up in a town an hour away. And I was just like convinced I was still gonna get it. So I think I texted my staff. Um, they thought I was having a stroke. So they were like, we're gonna do stroke protocol because we don't know what this is. And I
Mm-hmm.
texted my staff, they think I'm having a stroke. I'm not sure I'm gonna be in, but like we got to get that ice cream. And so they have known nothing's going on. And then I remember bits and pieces of Adam. And then I know I ended up in London Hospital, which is the hour away, which also happened to be where the ice cream is. And I do remember going in for an MRI because I was hyper annoyed at the whole process because they're like, stay still, whatever. And I just remember yelling from the tube, like, are you done yet? Like, you just could stay still. And then I remember being wheeled out and then in a room. And then that's when I was seeing double because they're like, okay, what's happening? I said, well, I'm seeing double, so I can't text on my phone. Like, I had my phone. I think I texted my daughter. And so this nurse or some genius was like, take these safety glasses. And they put the tape on it. And I was like, oh my God, that worked. So like I can see straight. And then that's the last I remember because thought I was going home.
So the reason I ask is because I love reading about the idea of a walk-in. Have you ever heard of that? A walk-in
Yeah.
soul?
No.
So let's say somebody were going through something really traumatic. Um, our body or mind shuts down, right? So we don't have memory of that. So the theory is that we have a walk-in soul take on that burden for us. And so maybe as things were going, you were feeling so much stress, like it's possible that you had another version of yourself kind of step in.
Right.
And and then as you were talking about, the movie theater and all that stuff, do you know much about like different dimensions or like those theories?
No.
Okay, well, like maybe you really did go live, like have a movie theater, and like maybe you stepped in to another version of you's reality. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of really interesting thoughts when it comes to like where your spirit went during that time, including like the things that felt really real to you.
Hmm.
That's what's intriguing.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought to, I don't know, to get insight into another version of you. So through hypnosis, we might even be able to eventually, once we do the work that we've already talked about, and we will be sharing, once you get to the point where you can effortlessly flow into hypnosis and trust and receive the messages without interruption, like we can go ask those other versions of yourself, like, hey, did I pop in here? Do you own a
Yeah.
movie theater? Like just to see, maybe you did.
Right.
Who knows? I think that it's kind of like a glitch, right? Like something
Yes.
glitched and you were every which way. So yeah, that's scary
Yeah.
and interesting at the same time.
Like I've never obviously entertained that theory. Didn't know. That would make sense when I think like there's lots more dreams I haven't even talked to you about because they felt like they were really quick and meaningless. But I'm as you've examined some of the dreams I have sent you, I'm just blown away by the symbolism you're seeing and all this stuff where I just thought, what a weird dream. But yeah, I know there's little bits and that wouldn't like they were so real. And I have seen this in other coma survivor stories is the frustration when like when you wake up, no one believes you because you sound crazy. And you sound probably crazy because you're so insistent. Like
Because it was
this
real for you.
literally this was 5 seconds ago and it could have been 5 days
Hmm.
ago for all I know. But I'm like, how do you like, why would you not believe me? Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? Like, it was just frustrating. And you can't talk a lot. I had a lot of tubes. So when they did take the breathing tube out and all that stuff, there was still food tubes and all these other tubes. So like my words, and I'm a very chatty person. So I think that was a struggle for me too, because I couldn't communicate at the speed and the
Hmm.
intensity. It was just like I'm in a bed and I'm like, trying to talk to them and all my kids and Adam and like they're all looking at me like not true, not true, didn't happen.
Yeah.
No one could
That would,
entertain that for 5 fucking minutes for me and be like,
seriously, that's
that's
why
what you do.
I am banned from all hospitals because I'd be right in there with you. I'd be like, oh yeah, what was the first
Let
movie
her
you
have
played?
it.
Like,
How do we
seriously,
know
let
she
her.
didn't?
Exactly. And that is honestly like the truly my family. Well, they don't let me go because I faint. But also when my grandpa was going through some kind of dementia stuff, um, eh, dementia stuff. I
Right.
believe it was dimension. Um,
Oh my
he
gosh,
was,
I love that.
yeah, he was, and that was just on the fly. I didn't even realize, like, that just came to me. This
Did
is
you
what
just do that?
hypnosis interviews do. I just did it. Yeah, I know. My
I
life
think
is
we've
wild.
created a whole other existence. Like I desperately want there to be like, you know how midwives are in hospitals now and we're all okay with it, even though they were there in the beginning. But like, why do we not have spiritual and not like there was pastors in the hospital, don't get me wrong, but like why aren't we having the woo people in there that they can call us in and be like, oh no, like we're gonna just let her have this dream be true for 5 minutes, okay, people? Because we might learn more. Like,
Yeah, and
what
also
I
like
mean?
I would have been there being like, who are you to say
Yeah,
this isn't real?
yeah.
You're delusional, like give them a little taste of that medicine. And also, I feel like I did psychedelic therapy once, and what you're describing really there has to be a need. There is a need for it, in my opinion, because
Yes.
I had two witchy women come to my house, give me an offering, the medicine, and I took it, and they were doing all kinds of witchy woo. They had came in with a witch's broom. My neighbors were probably seriously questioning what was going on in my house, because then there was a lot of like swooshing of the energy as I was releasing. It was amazing. So imagine like just how why not try it? What do you have to lose at this point, right? Like
Right?
I feel like that would have been epic to wake up and just to see how far
Yeah,
you went, right? Because all of that doubt probably blocked a lot more of that
it did.
information from flowing through, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. Luckily, we can retrieve it if we want to, but I mean,
I'm thrilled to do that because I have often thought like once I did I think the second hypnosis with you, I had thought about that. Like, could I go back in, especially for like a couple of the dreams where I was like, what on earth? Like, why
yeah,
that one? Like, not the fun ones, but some of them were a little bit like, what is that about? And I would love to know that I could go back and be in that because I was really cocky after I came home from the hospital and I was like, Adam or someone had said you should really write those dreams down. And I was like, yeah, I'm never going to forget them, so don't worry. And I think I did dabble in it. But when you started, like when I had said, I had a couple dreams, can I go through them? It was really struggling to like remember. Like I probably had much more to say in the beginning, obviously. And then
mhm,
consulted with Tanya, the psychic medium that I love. And she's like, okay, you're going to have to just let them sporadically come during the day, then
mhm.
write it down, like let them organically come through. And you'll remember more that way instead of a meditation or trying really hard to do it. And every now and then, like I do get a little blurt and I'm like, okay, I got to remember that. And then I have forgotten about dreams that I was like, okay, did I have that recently or was that a coma dream? Like that was coma. So it blows my mind like how the brain and even though it had not a lot of activity, the spirit, like whoever was in there entertaining me, like chef's kiss, like they did a
Yeah,
great job. They didn't scare me. Like I was never scared in my dream. There's a lot of intense dreams that were like I felt like I was in Dateline and I love that. So like
yeah,
there was a lot of entertainment that whoever was in charge of that, my spirits and whoever, like they knew how to keep me still and entertained because like they needed me to be there for the exact amount of time I was. So they're like, oh, bring this one in. She'll love that.
yeah.
She likes to still work. So let's give her a job. She needs to run a theater. She's done that before. But this one's inside, so she can do that. And it's like, no rest. There was no
No,
rest.
I mean, yeah, because then you would just be like, what's the point? And let go. Be like,
100%. 100%.
the amount of times you've written to me already being like, so what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
what's next? When are we? Some people wait like a few months, a year. So I give them time to integrate. And you're like, no, let's do it. And I love that because I'm like that too.
I
But
know.
I really do think that there is such value in this story or in this experience, I guess is a better
Yeah.
term or phrase. But the stories that came from this experience hold so much more value than we can grasp in this
Yeah.
moment. So the further along you get, the more meaning is going to come to it. And I
Yeah.
do have one question.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where there was a decision to be made whether to stay or go back to your body?
Yeah. And I didn't recognize it until probably a bit before working with you, I had started to go through the dreams and because my family right away, like my brother's just a clown. And he's like, did you get numbers? Did you get lottery numbers? Did you see Jesus? And I'm like, no, none of that. So in my head right away, I was like, oh, it wasn't a very good coma. Like it definitely wasn't yes, like here's the light. Don't come to it. It was the sweetest actual situation. There was I was in a grotto type setting. Um, and it was like this beautiful park and there's like wind chimes on all the trees and my mother-in-law from my first marriage, she's passed and she's a lovely woman and she loved dogs and this lovely old man comes up to me with and he's got like he looks like the groundskeeper but like really old and I'm just all of a sudden there with him taking a tour of this park and he's like, Catherine left you a plot. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's like I don't not know what that is. And I was like, oh, that was nice of her. She was such a good gift giver. And he's like, yeah, like very lucky because this is a beautiful park and she loved dogs. Now, like I don't love dogs like you love dogs. Like I love my dogs, but I'm not dog mom. Like, so I was like, okay, this is more about her than me. And like this is what I'm thinking in my dream, like processing all of this, going like, is this really for me? And so he's like, okay, well, like not a lot of people get this, and like this is, you are so lucky. And so as I'm being really kind to him and I'm like looking around, I'm like, it is really, really beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. And I really miss Catherine. I really love that she did that. He's like, okay, well, let's go. And he's like, I feel him like he's leading me and like almost checking his watch, like, we got to get this done kind of thing. Like, you're coming with me. So I'm such a people pleaser, even in Dreamland. So like, okay, well, let's just see what I'm sure he's not taking me to the plot. So he's taking me right to the plot. And I'm like, oh, yeah, not right now. So that was I think my decision where I was like, oh, how do I, like, why does he think I'm here? So I was like, not right now, but like, I'm so much gonna definitely come back to this place because that was a gift. But I remember offering a donation of some sort, whether my time or like I'll shout you out on my Facebook, I don't know. But it was like I remember wanting to give him something to placate the situation and be like, I don't mean to be rude, but like that's not my plot right now. Like I'll take it this time for sure, but I feel like that's not right now. And that's the only time I believe that it was about me choosing.
Hmm.
And how I'll ever know if that was 5 seconds before the steroid woke me up or day one. Like I wish there was a way they could tell me when those dreams happen, but they
I
won't
mean,
know. 'Cause they don't.
yeah,
The
I
nurses all
feel,
laughed at me. They were like, "You've got quite the story." I was like, "Oh my God."
yeah, like as if they haven't, come on. I
They're
can't believe that they
missing out on
haven't.
so much
Yeah.
entertainment if they would just listen to people who just woke up.
Yeah. Oh my God. I would love to do that as a job. I'd be there
Mhm.
with my paper and pen and just be like waiting
Yeah,
patiently just for one flicker of an eye, be like, so where'd you go? Did
that's we are. We're
you?
dream weavers. That's not a bad title. Like,
That isn't, no. So what's really funny is I know now you're offering Reiki,
mhm.
mobile Reiki.
I
What?
don't, mobile sounds prettier. Mobile sounds like your phone.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't
Mobile
matter.
Reiki. I mean, so my cousin is studying the kind of nursing. So she's a nurse. She works with uh, people who are on their ready to vacate, like they're almost ready to go. What do you call that? A hospice or something?
Hospice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So she is now doing her, is it nurse practitioner or RN to get like you're able to give prescriptions and stuff?
I think it's nurse practitioner.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
she's a
yeah.
year away from getting that. And she's very witchy. She's a medium, which I never understood because she sees dead people all the time. And it's like, you're just, her patients would just like pop up in her home and be like, hello, I just wanted to check in, say goodbye. And then she would go to work and knowing that they had passed. But anyway, so she wants to create a death mobile. Yeah, I
Okay.
know. And I want to be like, I want to be all up in that.
Yeah.
So the idea behind it is these individuals who are in this hospice, because it's religious, where whatever, I think Catholic or whatever, um, you're not allowed to die by choice.
Mm.
So if they do want to do that, they have to move from their home, like what they know as their home, this hospice, go somewhere else to a hospital
Mm.
that allows it. So what she was thinking is, how cool would it be to just pop in with your death mobile and be like, I am taking you to your final destination. Hop in and then
Yeah.
ask them, how do you want to die? You want to
Yeah.
be on a boat in the middle of a lake? Do you want to be in a forest with a bunch of naked witchy women just doing their thing, speaking Latin or, whatever? And then she would do the procedure, deed, whatever it is, at the daytime that they of their choosing, right? Because they do choose, I think they choose even the time.
Mm.
And I love that. Like the
I love it.
idea of the power behind choosing when you've gotten to a point of suffering and, it just feels like we can sprinkle a little humor in it, like hop into the death mobile. Like that is the perfect name. And if she changes her mind about this, I'm gonna be really sad because I can't do it because
Right.
we all know I can't be a nurse. But I think that there is so much value in honoring the way that people live and the way that we experience these hospital type experiences. If I mean, you did Reiki before the coma.
Mhm.
So how cool would it have been if you had like a Reiki practitioner or, like someone there just to sense your energy and to have them available for the hospital because your husband and, they've already been going through so much that I wouldn't want to be like, oh, they should have thought of all these things. These
Yeah.
things should be available. So that,
Yes.
a catalog, let's say, that he can go through and be like, she would dig this. Let's get
You're
this on the.
totally yes. I think it's an untapped industry that needs to be brought to light. I love it. Um, yeah, Deathmobile, that's big. Now, I is that just the specific hospice she's involved with, or
I
because
feel like it's any that are like with that religion, with a
yeah,
religion that doesn't allow that.
right.
But I'm sure because
Strange thing.
still in Ottawa, they're able to go to a hospital that allows it. Like
Mhm.
hospitals allow it. It's really just like this residence, I guess it's called.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so you have this gown that you're wearing. So that connects you. I was wondering if there's anything else connecting you to the version of you that you felt you were within that space, or
Mm.
like how has that shifted? How has the version of you shifted from this experience?
Okay, so like the version of me when, like in the coma,
Yeah, because you're different from before you went into the coma. You've
I had,
shifted for sure from
yeah,
that.
yes, yeah.
So this version that you were within this space, even if you don't remember like who exactly or how you felt, do you feel like channeled wise, like just intuitively, that she is a big part of who you are now?
That's not a question I've ever been asked or thought of. Because as you're saying that, I'm like, oh no, but I was a different character in each one, but I wasn't. I was me. Like I wasn't like became something. I was me witnessing all of this stuff. And I was a participant in every scenario. But each dream was a very different scenario. So it's hard for me. Like if I was to pick one, I don't know. That's a really good question. I'd have to think on that. And like I know like I'm supposed to say whatever first comes to my head, but I'm hearing like we need to explore that because that's interesting.
Yeah, and
I don't
that's the
know.
perfect answer. That's a perfect answer
Yeah.
because this is how we know what we're curious about exploring while we're in that hypnotic state. So even
Yes.
if the answer is I don't know, that's perfect. It's because you're meant to explore it deeper in a
Yeah.
different.
I'd love to know, like,
Yeah.
because none of the versions of me in those dreams felt very familiar at all, except for running the movie theater. But even when I had the movie theater, I was like, I had friends running it, and I was like the overlord of it all because I'm like, well, I did run a theater before, so you guys don't, you need me.
Yeah,
Um,
obviously.
and I was overseeing it because I wasn't there, but I can't remember in the dream what my excuse was for not being there. But I checked in a lot and I organized all of the situations, but they were such good staff, my friends, my business partners. They were doing such a good job that I was like, okay, I'm an investor now. So that was the only like closest to my real reality. So like, have I left her? Probably not. But the other dreams, like for sure, I would love to know what the hell, yeah, who was that
Yeah.
version of me and what, why was she in that dream doing that? Like, that would be
Yeah.
fun. That'd be really fun.
And we could definitely explore that.
Yeah.
If anyone listening is interested in hearing about or reading about all of those dreams, where would they be able to find? Because I know you posted about them.
I've posted, and I can't remember up until which one because I'm still ongoing, but TikTok and Substack, my handle for both is what in the woo. So what in the WOO.
Yeah.
And then that's where I'm unloading my journey because I've looked on the internet for other coma survivors for their story to see if there's anyone else like with a spiritual awakening and more of a calmer version. And everyone seems like super traumatized by their coma, which I'm sad for them. But I think those very like I don't know how many people slip into a coma naturally like I did or who is induced into one. And there's like a lot of uproar in that community feeling like that was just a way to like deal with COVID at the time was like put them in a coma, deal with them later because they had no room. So a lot of people right now, there's a big movement of people feeling like they're traumatized from the dreams they had. They were put in a coma without total consent, or understanding what that meant. And it's very, I haven't found the niche of people like me, who either from accident, brain trauma, or infection or something put them in a coma and had like a vacation, because I feel like my dreams were pure entertainment. And then like, so I like, that's part of why I want to do this, is because like there's got to be somebody out there. Even I want to talk to anyone else who's been in a coma. Like, it's not a general thing we all do. So I
Hmm.
find that like I feel sort of special, but also isolated in that way,
Yeah.
because everyone's like, "Ooh, coma, oh my God." And I'm like, no, like I just want to find someone else who had a similar experience, so that I'm not, I don't know. There's just something to be learned from both people, I guess. It's like I'm hoping someone sees this and is like, girl, same,
Yeah.
almost, you know.
Yeah. I think there is value in that for sure. And by sharing your story, you might be connecting with someone who was made to believe that, it was all like in your head, and it was all fake and all that stuff, because they might not have the courage to share their story now, because they were, just like we're all magical when we're kids, and then we go to school and that all disappears because we're told all of these things, and it basically forced out of the magic when we're a kid. So it's the same thing. You come out of that space and you're being told that that never happened, and
Uh,
all of this stuff that people don't know can be hurtful and damaging in a sense.
mm,
So it's finding that fine line, and maybe this is a part of that journey for you, to open up that line of communication where someone can reach out and you can talk about your story
yeah.
and they can share theirs. So if that's something that you feel called to do, is there anything else that you feel called to do since waking that you weren't before, or any gifts, anything like that?
Um, there was the very logical part of me after, like the first few months after, that was like, I am going to, I've always envisioned myself speaking to women about women and stuff. And I've got lots of like entrepreneur stuff I can share, but I was like still very attached to being the owner of a business, because I didn't sell it for 4 months after coma. Um, and so I was very attached to the story of like, girls, like burnout is real. And I'm known in my town for being like she hustled and she was tired but did it anyway, and that whole toxic lady boss, you know.
Hustle culture, yeah.
Yes, and like I promoted that hard and I lived it, and in the end, coma or no coma, I was no more successful doing that than if I had actually calmed down and played small and grew big. I
Mhm.
played big and grew very small, I guess. So I wanted, like, I had a whole written thing of like a one woman show, and I was just going to go up there and be like, girls, don't work so hard, like, because burnout's real. And then it wasn't until after January that the store was sold and actually out of my space, and I was actually sitting still in my home again, that I reached out to get some fun workshops to watch about anything, that I ended up in the mediumship training class, because I was like, yeah, let's totally go wild and have some fun.
Yeah.
And that's when I started recognizing like, holy shit, I've had spirit. So there's twofolds. I've had spiritual pokes and whispers at me since I got pregnant with my first child. And so that's 20 years ago. I've ignored tons of like, this is some serious woo. And I'd love the experience. And then I'd be like, and we're going to just shut that right down. Cause like, I'm running a business. Like, I don't get to do that. I wasn't born witchy or to a psychic family. So like, I don't fit that mold. So I better not do that, because it'll just tank. So I think the coma led me to like, I have two messages of like, don't physically burn yourself out, because it's real and like, you never know. And then the spiritual awakening, I feel like I ignored that way too long. So I feel like my spirit guides had a double whammy. Like, she needs to learn a couple things right now. This would be a beautiful way to just package. She loves it. You know, I like reversible shirts and stuff. I like 2 for 1. And they're like, she's getting this. Like she's gonna slow the hell down physically and spiritually, and then we're gonna just like burst the magic into her that she can't deny it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's rapid. And every time I'm in a situation to do a Reiki, to do a reading with the class I'm in, like, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm totally tooting my own horn. Something happened in the coma that either like removed doubt and like is putting in, like, I'm getting clear stuff and stuff I can't deny and stuff I'm not afraid to say. And I
Mm-hmm.
would never, ever do that before. So I'm not suggesting to go get in a coma. I'm suggesting go to the doctor when you don't feel well, like calm yourself down. You don't have to build a fucking empire. Because you don't. And then the spiritual thing is like when you've had those moments, like I've had crazy things happen that would have been beautiful if I had started then, because I'd
Mm-hmm.
be so much further ahead. But it's almost like this exponential growth. It's like, okay, girl, your reward is like you're gonna see things, hear things, feel things without doubt, because we know you instant gratification is a thing. Like you're
Yeah.
not gonna stay on this train unless like you're getting all the stops when you want.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that from the other side or whoever's doing this to me. I appreciate it because it's the only way that I know it's going to work for me.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
definitely. And I think the 2 sessions that we did together, that's basically what we've been working towards. And I think a huge part of your purpose, especially now at this point of your life, is to explore things and highlight them, bring them to the surface, not only for yourself, but for others, right? And you've helped me throughout those sessions because we were like, let's just have a conversation. Let's see, let's get to know all those versions of you, your ego, your spirit, your soul, and find out more about them to create a space where they can work together. And it's been really eye-opening for me as a hypnotist because you've been honest about it. You know, I don't need somebody to perform for me in that space. If you're not feeling it or you're not trusting it, I want to know, because we're going to dive into it and we're going to find out why. Like,
Mhm.
there's no wrong answers in hypnosis. It's all about learning about yourself. And in doing that, I mean, the signs have been crazy.
Mm.
Like the validation your guides and your higher self were sending me with the eights and all everything
Okay.
basically
Yeah.
is just further validation that you're on the right path. And
Yeah.
so finding out how it works for you is key. And
Yeah.
in doing that, you're going to be helping other people explore that part of themselves because they're ignoring it. Either they don't think they'll be able to be hypnotized, or, like there's so many things, but I like how real it is, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and to be totally honest, like I was really disappointed in the first session at myself because like I am pretty open to this stuff, but my ego was on fire and I kept doing what I was trained to do from therapy and counseling for the last 20 years is like you shut that ego down, you ignore it because whatever they're saying is like bad. And you, by the second, like you knew right away what to do. By the second session, you're like, well, I want to hear what they have to say. And I was like, ooh, okay. And the minute I gave her a voice, because I'm calling her a she,
Yeah.
and you addressed everything she said, but you didn't make her feel bad, and it was like you can come along for the journey. And I remember going like, you don't really want her there. And I was like, but once she was in, I felt like so much. And like I would advise anyone to do that part just to get through their day of this ego being a problem. But
Yeah.
what you've done rapidly, I have felt more confident, more sure that like I can hear the ego and I go, okay, maybe you actually have a good message. Because when you were like, maybe she's protecting you from something here,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh, I never would have thought that. I was just thought she's just this horrible little pain in the ass. And now you've given her this space in my mind. It just freedom was like the part in the second one where you're guiding me through this house and I'm like this little kid who's like, I see a window, I want to look at the beach. And all three of us were like, the ego's like, that's not what Steph said. You're going in the house. And then there's me that's like, but what if I want to go to the beach? And then you're like, yeah, let's go look out the window. And I was like, oh, like, what is she gonna do? Like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna fight. And then I was like, I'm going to the window. And it was that was like, sounds insane, but that was like a piece of freedom coming out that I didn't expect ever in that micro moment, you giving permission to her. And she's like, I'll take that permission. And at least you heard what I had to say.
Yeah.
And then like she still was there. Like when I went outside on the beach part, she's like, so what are you gonna learn by walking the beach? And I was like, oh wow. Like you explained it so well. And when I feel like I'm gonna tell you what my ego is saying, I'm like, wonder what she's gonna say. And then you have the right answer every time. And I'm like, I bet she's done this before. It was like, it was so easy. And that's the part that was like, okay, well, now I really want to dive in again because I think I can do this more often. So you gave
Yeah.
so many things happened after that second session that gave me permission to just exist in this reality of what's going on. But to like in hypnosis, I'm like, I'm not going to not tell her I see this or hear this because you're
Exactly.
understanding a whole part of it that I'm not. I'm just in it. And you're like, well, what about this? I'm like, oh, never thought about that. So like, I love that. Like, I love
Yeah.
being guided through it.
Yeah. And I love that experience too because it opened up a new side to exploring for me because
Mhm.
I haven't done that before. I've never
Yeah,
had anybody openly tell me about what their ego is saying or preventing them from doing. So the openness of communication that you and I had really did open up that space to "Oh,
mm,
let's explore it and invite her for the ride. Like she could be grumpy if she wants to. That's fine. That's her job. You know, like we're not going to love one of our grumpy children less than the happy-go-lucky one. We're going to love them all equally and appreciate like whatever it is they bring to the table, right? And that it was the idea behind it. And yeah,
yeah,
when you did say like, "Oh, I want to look out the window," but your ego is saying like you're not following the rules,
yeah,
that brought up a lot of, like as women or as kids, you're always told,
yeah.
or we were anyway. I don't know about the kids nowadays because they're different. But
Certainly are.
they were always telling us like respect your elders, listen to the rules, like respect. I don't know anybody who's supposed to be like the adult in the room and whatever.
Yeah.
And that it basically unknowingly brainwashed us all
Mm,
into we must follow the rules. We must do as we're told. And we're breaking out of that. And the kids nowadays have parents that didn't feel right about that. So
yes.
they're raising their kids differently. And so the whole world is shifting. But
Hmm.
we now have permission to break down those barriers.
Yeah.
And you giving that part of you the voice is when we do share, we will be sharing that session, um,
Hmm.
and it will allow others to hear it and to relate to that ego part and to relate to the words that they get from that part of themselves throughout the day. Like
Yeah.
there's multiple times in a day that we were fighting. I'm fighting with myself
And
all
that
the time.
that has happened. Like
Yeah.
I have actually stopped myself and thought, wow, you're being a bitch. Like this ego part
Yeah.
of me. But I was like, I'm hearing loudly right now to tell her the name of like your next session. You're gonna sell the session called Unclench Your Ego. Cause she felt like she unclenched a bit in that beach house. She was like, hang on
Perfect.
1 second. Like she didn't die going out the window to the beach. She made it back in the house.
Yeah.
Like maybe I can relax a little bit. And she likes me. She said I can come. No one's ever said I can come for the ride. So it was just like you gave her, like I felt like this release a little bit of her. She was like, oh, maybe I don't need to be so whatever. And yes, she wants to keep me safe and sound, I'm sure, for some things. But like there is that little inner child part of her and me that are connected of like like I had a very safety forward mother who was like always like telling me to be careful. So that's where I think that little ego voice came from.
Hmm. Yep.
And my brother too, like he's extreme risk taker because he took it a whole other way. But she's always been like, and like that's just her motherly style is like if I don't tell them, then they might not know that if you cross the street you can get hit by a car. But I'm 50 and she still is like, yeah, don't touch that element. It's hot. And I'm like, I literally just clicked on it. So I know that. But there's that little part of me that I can see why my ego is replacing that or echoing that a bit because
Yeah.
she was like, you are not going to that window. That is not the rules. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she unclenched a little, I think.
Yeah. I like that. I wrote it down. I will be using it because I feel like I feel like that was a really inspiring, one of the most inspiring sessions. And you didn't go where you wanted to go.
Mm.
Right. And so many times I hear people are disappointed in their sessions. And
Mm.
one person had conversations with angels and all this stuff, and she was like, I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to visit a past life. And I was like, "Uh, I spoke to an angel through you. Like, I am floating on cloud nine over here, and you're disappointed. How magical does it have to be for you to appreciate the journey?" And it's not even like there's no judgment there. I'm legit curious. I am very curious as to where your soul can take it, to where the magic is obvious and apparent to you, because
Yeah.
that is something that, like, everybody is evolving and shifting in
Mhm.
such a drastic way that we we expect, or I don't know, like, we want to go visit another planet instantly, which is
Yeah.
fine. I do too. But I remember back in my day when I was first doing this, I would just get a visual of a past life self wearing
Mm.
clothes that don't exist anymore, and I was, like, talking about it for
Yeah.
months, telling everybody. Like, it has shifted, and I am really excited to see where it goes once we take down those barriers.
Yeah.
And I mean, you take them down temporarily, they can go back up if needed, right? There's
Yeah.
no timeline or any pressure to withhold that. But for you, I think that we can go further, but you need to have these challenges because you're at a point in your journey where you can speak up about it, and then we can share this message that
Yeah.
it's just as easy as saying out loud, my ego's getting in the way, for me to get curious and find out why. That's all. And if you don't voice it,
Mm.
I can't ask about it and inquire. I might want to because I
Mm.
use my intuition during all of these sessions and I really want to, but also I have to respect the protection, right? And what
Yeah.
the client is doing. If they're not sharing it, it's because they're not ready to explore that. And
Mm.
that is something that I really appreciate about you because you're just like open. You're just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's do it. Let's see what happens, you know?
I'm convinced I lost my filter completely after coma. Like I've had two major concussions before, and every partner, my ex, the first concussion, the second concussion, he's like, you either A, never had a filter or you've lost it. And so I'm still like, we have kids, so we're still talking. But even after the coma, when we were all more jovial with each other, he's like, yeah, like I think it's fully gone now, like your filter. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not telling everybody off, but
No,
like, what's the reason to hide this?
exactly.
And the only reason I didn't do this like the minute of the coma is because I didn't know. Like
Yeah.
I detached so hard, and I never would have thought I would do that because I love all of this, but the perfect timing is now. I'm in the right place at the right time now because I needed that time to like be totally sure, I guess, that this is what I'm doing. Because I
Yeah.
would have been really suspicious if like I woke up from the coma and I saw things and I was like healing people in the room. I'd be like, no, like I didn't have that because that's a movie. And like it
Yeah.
wasn't a movie. Like it was like, we're gonna take some months and you're gonna just,
Yeah.
girl. Yeah.
You got to integrate it. And that's why a lot of our spiritual awakenings happens in increments, happen slowly over time, so
Okay.
that our human self has time to process and integrate it. Because if
Okay.
we just woke up one day and we wwere seeing spirits, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, no, there's no one here. And you're like, I see a person right there. And they're like, no, you would completely shut it down.
A hundred
So,
percent.
based on experience, and of course, that makes sense, we are evolving slowly in a way
Yeah.
that we can believe, trust, and move forward with it. And the younger generations are opening up way faster. And that the only reason for that is because they have parents who are more open and allowed
Yes.
for that magic to they nurtured it more than suppressed it out of safety
Yeah.
or fear. And so my mom is super magical and powerful. Does she embody it? No. Does she voice it? No. But that woman gave me the courage and the ability and the space to feel safe enough to be myself and to
Yeah.
share my voice, my story, and to encourage other women to do the same. And that I'm very proud of. But
Yeah.
I feel like that pride should also be hers. Because
Yeah.
without her, you know, and everything she did and sacrificed, I wouldn't feel this way. And so for you, like your kids and then their kids, like everything is going to be changing as the generations come.
Yeah.
So they're just going to keep getting weirder and weirder. And I love it. I don't
Yeah.
want kids of my
So
own because I don't want a little medium being like, who's that guy in the corner over there? And I like, what guy? Who is it? You know, I don't know if that's the reason I don't, well, part of the reason I don't want kids, but I think
that's
that,
funny because yeah, like I know that they do that, and I know well, all three did something weird when they were little, and again, I just brushed it off, and now I wish I could go back, and now I'm like, I hope they have kids so I can get right in there and be like,
yeah.
hey, will you
Oh,
what
yeah.
did you just say? Like they're gonna have the best grandma, but like yeah, my kids said a lot when they were little, and I
Yeah.
was just like, hey, whatever, and I should have, but whatever.
No,
But
but
when you
that's,
said your mom too, like I'm sure they're around the same age, but I never told my mom any of this. And
mhm.
then I wasn't even going to tell her about the mediumship training because I'm like, she's going to think I'm wacky. And then I just, something came in me and I just told her because my dad had just passed in March. And so that also opened up a whole bunch of stuff, like crazy stuff. But I
Mhm.
hadn't told my mom about any of the previous stuff. So as I'm unloading to her all this stuff, and now she asks me, did you have a class last night? What did you find out? That she remembers, she's never told me this. She remembers being born. She remembers she had like rubella or some hot like fever, and she remembers elevating above her body. And I'm like,
What?
can you bring that up before this? Like, how, why did you never tell me? She's like, and this is most of my mom. I told you that. No, no, you've never told me that. And she's like, yeah. And then her dad had always, like, so my grandpa had always told us about this little imaginary boy that visited him in his room all the time. And so my brother's there and he's like, so does this have anything to do with like Nanu seeing that little boy in his room? My mom's like, oh, yeah. Like, so he had this little spirit thing visit him. And I'm like, this would be really helpful had I known this a long time ago, that possibly like
You do come from a witchy family.
thanks for letting me know now. But like obviously, like, thank you. I was like, thank you for sharing. First time ever. I'm 50. Like, and she's plain as day. Yeah, I totally remember that. Really weird. Like I remember being born. I was there, and they said go, and I was there. And what are you talking about? So
That
this
is
was news to me
wild.
about a month ago, and I'm like, really?
You
So
need to
now she's all
inquire
in.
more.
This is just it. So now I feel even more permission, I guess, to like not hide this stuff, like which I
Yeah.
would have before. So it's interesting how like that generation, maybe she never said anything, or maybe
Mhm.
of course she thinks she had a TED talk about it, but she but they just yeah, because I'm guessing like the generation before her, from everything I've read, is like you could be admitted, well,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
by choice, but like
Mhm.
execution part of it is still there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like even my kids right now, they're just teenagers, but every time I talk about this, they're like, oh my god, like whatever, like they don't want any part of it. They're both boys, and they I get it. But whatever, I know their magic.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, there's the family part that's like, I have a super supportive partner who's like, go full woo. My mom's like, oh yeah, we totally are woo. I never told you. And the
Yeah.
kids are like, what are you doing? So there's this whole dynamic thing that's like, I don't like whatever all you guys say, I'm still going forward.
Yeah.
Like they should know that about me by now. But like this topic has never, this is all coming out of nowhere for them. Whereas I'm like, oh no, I've seen stuff before you guys. And I just never
Yeah.
really did a
Yeah.
video about it. So
Yeah, and I think that that's really cool that you're offering a voice to that part of your mom's story.
yeah.
Because by you going through this stuff, she is now coming to a point where voicing it is it just kind of came up casually. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't like a sit down intervention of like, you know, what? And I think that that's really cool. First of all, super cool to know that she remembers the birth because she probably remembers the being in the womb. If it, like, let's say you were to
Crazy.
do hypnosis,
Yeah.
sometimes we can go back in time. It's a technique where we bring them back into the womb and then back up as the spirit before choosing the body, choosing your
Wow.
parents, choosing the journey. I
Hmm.
think it's a really powerful experience. So the fact that she remembers that is showing that she has connections to the parts that we are normally gifted with. What's that word where you forget amnesia? So
Yeah.
we forget about it, and
Yeah.
it kind of starts you off on your journey. But who knows, like if she explored that, even just by telling the story, more stuff might come in, because that's what this whole channeled experience is. Channeled storytelling is just about talking, telling a story, and allowing the details just to unfold as they may, and then accepting that all as truth for your own reality. It doesn't matter if it relates to anybody else. It's really just about what comes up and out of your energy field, because
Yeah.
that story is, whatever one that comes up is meant for somebody to hear. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
So that's really cool. And also it's really what you said earlier about, not thinking like I didn't come from a spiritual family, like I didn't know that, like you don't have to go into a coma to experience these things.
Please don't. Yeah.
Yeah, some of us may need some kind of roadblock in order for
Mhm.
us to like shake off all of the stuff that was given to us involuntarily. We didn't
Yeah.
necessarily ask for it, but like the hustle culture, all of that stuff, like if we've succumbed to that, it's really hard to get out of that grind.
Yes.
So if you are interested in mediumship or Reiki, or like if you feel called to something, my suggestion is always to explore it. Follow your
Yeah.
curiosity, see where it leads. We
For
all
sure.
have these gifts. Some of us have, let's say, naturally clairvoyance or claircognizance, and we have to develop the other ones.
Yeah.
Like we have to develop whatever other gifts we have, but we can do all of it. It's really just about, like which talents are a little bit more heightened in us, and then which
Yeah.
ones we want to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
love
prefer
that.
not to see dead people. So, I know I can, I just don't want to.
Right.
So, that's a choice.
Yeah,
And
if you're allowed to like dial that in and be like, yeah, don't send me that stuff. Like
yeah.
that's good. Because
Oh,
in
yeah.
this class, there's like about 11 women now, and I'm being really careful not to like compare. But like whenever it's a missing persons thing we're looking at, there's a few women that can solidly see the dark, the person that like the bad person. And I always am like, when they were young, they were playing in puddles and stuff. And I just see only the happy, shiny parts because somewhere back there it knows like don't send me the dark stuff. But I know that's important for solving whatever they're trying to figure out. But I've wondered like why won't like I haven't consciously, well, maybe subconsciously be like, don't scare me right now. But
Hmm.
like when you talk of visiting planets and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, that is not on my bingo card right now. But maybe it's just because like I need it to be as absolutely chill as possible right now, and
Yeah.
just maybe step into the flying a dragon to another planet. Cause like I don't know if I want to do that. So I maybe don't have to.
Fair.
Yeah. So, and I
Yeah.
know you like talk about it like it's like the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, I'm not going on that ride, but I don't like roller coasters and I don't like amusement parks for that reason. Like, I like
Yeah.
being super like, stay put. Like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So I am very adventurous
Hmm.
in that realm. I literally was a frog attacked me the other day, and like attacked my sense of well-being, peace, and safety on my deck. And I literally did not go outside for hours because Max said he got rid of it, but I was like, and he laughed because my man voice came out, my man scream. It was just an odd, like I saw it, and I have a phobia of frogs and bugs.
Fair.
So really, I live a really boring physical life
Yeah.
because I'm afraid of everything. But
You live in the woods, you know that, right?
I know. And, I really thought that I would overcome all these things, but it's been a year and a half. And if a bug touches me, like, I feel like my life is over.
Fair.
Yeah. So, it's, it's, it's been challenging.
Yeah.
But in my metaphysical spiritual life, which you have the same thing where your spiritual side of you is very heightened and aware and magical and all that stuff. And we struggle more with our ego and physical body.
Mm.
Now, people are the opposite. So the benefit to working in groups
Yeah.
is each of us brings something, a different piece of the puzzle
Yeah.
to the table. So
Yeah.
you will be sharing about the childhood because that's valid information. You're
Yeah.
telling the story of that individual. You're honoring them by doing so.
Mhm.
And in turn, you're inviting their spirit to tell you more, right? Because you're
Yeah.
creating this safe, nurturing space for them. That's what I would feel.
Mhm.
And then you have the shadow seekers, which is me. Anything dark, dingy, shadowy, I am there. I want
Yeah.
to explore it all.
Mhm.
And then, like, and that is one part of it. But if one person had every part of it, it would be as if you're in a room, the radio blasting, the
Mhm.
TV and a different channel blasting, people talking to you and yelling at you, all
Yeah.
of this noise trying to get through, and you're not able to hone in on any one of them. So
Ah,
I like that when you work with other people, you get different parts of the story, and
yeah.
each part is valid. But when you listen to different mediums and stuff, like if they're trying to decrypt your dreams, your coma dreams, well, each person that you ask will bring you another piece to that puzzle. So
Yeah.
working with just one person, I always suggest working with all kinds of people so that you can pick and
Absolutely.
choose, like take what resonates, leave the rest. But I think it's, finding out what you want to bring to that table.
Mm.
Do I feel super comfortable with aliens? Like, I'm not going out there and inviting them to me yet, but I have friends who do,
Yeah.
you know? It's just
Friends who do.
I'm not there yet, but I'm
A dinner
working.
party at your place has to happen. Like I gotta see.
Yeah. You know, like, sure, maybe I would do it,
I know you would.
but I'm more comfortable with the earthbound spirits. I'm more comfortable with entities and
Mhm.
things that I don't know, but ETs and stuff, I don't feel super connected with
Yeah.
it, but I love to be in the know. So I make
Yeah.
sure to keep friends around who have like a direct connection to let me know, like, are they coming to save us?
Yeah.
What is
When?
happening? Like, give me the insights, like I need the deets. So I have friends who do that, and then we
Okay.
share stories. We share those the news and experiences.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that it's really interesting when you get a group together, all the stuff you can kind of pull in from
Yeah.
each person.
Yeah. It's very cool. And it helps you feel okay that you're not feeling things the same way she's feeling things. Cause
Yep.
it's like either my time will come to feel it a different way, but like I have loved the group
Hmm.
exercises we do because I'm more like I can hear more, I can do my part way easier when the group, all that energy is on a Zoom of all
Yeah.
things. And I'm like, bring the more the merrier, like bring them all in because then we've done really good. We've had two missing people who have passed. And like the things we're finding out within an hour from all of us pulling it together, I'm like, this ought to be a damn reality show. Like, get a shovel. I know where that woman is right now.
Yeah.
If she's not there, then like that's not true. Like, because I
Yeah.
know I saw it on a map. And, but her whole story came together with 10 women, which you can
Yeah.
only imagine. It's just crazy. Like everyone has to be on mute because we're like,
Yeah.
but this has been the coolest experience ever to see that like every person's ability or what their gift is helping the other person's
Hmm.
create our story for that person's spirit. And she on the other side, what I'm learning, she's choosing what to, her spirit guides or whatever is choosing what I'm going to be able to write about versus what like Linda, for instance, is going to be able to write about or see. So it's really cool that this lucky person on the other side has all this whole team that's like, we're
Yeah.
all here,
Honoring
tell us
them.
everything, like use me to
Yep.
do this. And that's been blowing my mind. Like that's the coolest thing ever because I have used multiple psychics over the, usually seeking the answer I want because I didn't like
Yeah.
the answer. So I'd like, well, let's try her.
Yeah.
And now I get like, it's like you've got like a crew, like you've got a team and they're all doing different good things. Like
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's totally awesome. Like I love that this environment exists right now and it's cool and safe and
Yep.
encouraging and it's all women doing their like when we say like I wasn't born into whatever, but we all were, but we just maybe don't know because maybe it wasn't passed down verbally because it was all such a secret. And maybe
Yep.
it is our generation and your generation that's going to be like normalizing the access to this